Hey Reefers, welcome back to the April 2020 update of the Sumpless 75-gallon Reef Aquarium. A lot of changes in the tank, but before we get to those, here's a quick overview of the equipment. So for lighting, I'm using a 4-bulb, 4-foot T5 fixture plus an LED light bar from Advanced Reef Solutions. The LED light bar is very similar to the Orphek light bar. The bar runs for 12 hours a day, and then I run the T5s. I have two ATI Blue Plus that's run for 8 hours a day, and two ATI Coral Plus that run for 3 hours a day. For flow, I have a Jebao SLW 25, which is a Nero 5 knockoff, and a Jebao SW8. My ATO is a Duetta XPA Sumpless package, which includes this little magnetic overflow. And then for nutrient control, I'm using bacteria with ProDeBio, and I just started using polyfilter in the last month to month and a half to help with the phosphates. I do dose Calclosser in my ATO. In addition to that, I dose ESV Bionic manually. The protein skimmer is an Aquamax HOB 1.5. Now that we've got that out of the way, onto the tank. So there's been a lot that has happened since the last video. Unfortunately, I followed through with my plans and removed the canister filter, causing a chain of events that nearly cost me all my coral. After I removed the canister filter, there was an immediate bacterial bloom in the tank. I can only hypothesize that removing the filter meant removing a lot of beneficial bacteria that would normally break down the waste. This led to a bacterial bloom in the tank that lasted for roughly a week. As if that wasn't bad enough, I had introduced GFO to lower the 0.23 phosphates that I had in my previous video. And I believe that may have led to the starvation of some of the coral. So go me. The Symphillia was the first to tell me that something was wrong. All its mouths were gaping and it was spitting its guts out. And that's really not normal. A few days later, the bowerbankis started doing the same. Their mouths would gape and they spit their guts out of every orifice, not just the mouths. So if you can picture it, the bowerbankis, their entire flesh was just covered in guts. I finally clued in to the fact that maybe they were telling me that they were starving, because I had tested all the parameters, everything seemed to be in line. So I started dosing AquaPower very aggressively. On the days I went to work, I would dose before work and after. And on the days off, I would dose 3 times a day, spread out throughout the day. About a week after the bowerbankis were looking bad, next suddenly the acans were. So what's very surprising is how each coral seemed to take turns to take their turn to start looking like crap. I can only surmise from that maybe some of them are a bit more sensitive than others. Back to the story, about a week after the bankies were spitting their guts out, suddenly my acans weren't looking that great. And I could tell right away that they were way more receded than normal. And in fact, as the days went on and I looked at them closely, I could see skeleton. So, their flesh was actually receding, potentially melting away. So through all that, I kept dosing as everything else seemed okay, except, yes, my phosphates seemed a bit lower. By this point, I was really regretting removing the canister filter. But thankfully, about 2 weeks after the acans started looking bad, things started to return to normal. So the Symphillia was the first one. It started closing its mouths for part of the day. So for part of the day, they would still be gaping, but I could tell that it was trying, which to me meant that, okay, we may be seeing some recovery here. And then I would say within a week after that, most things started looking back to normal. The big bowerbanki was still spitting his guts out everywhere, but only when I was introducing food into the tank, only when I was feeding like reeferoids, which I was doing quite aggressively as well. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of what has happened to, I think, a lot of the pieces is that some of their coloration has changed. For example, the Symphillia, its lobes have always been red, and they're still red, but the fleshy middle part used to be a deep fluorescent green. And at least for now, that middle part does not fluoresce anymore. I've also noticed that on the bankies, my big banky used to have bluish mouths. So it would be mauve and then the mouths would be blue. So it looked pretty nice. Unfortunately, it's lost its blue. And I don't know if that's actually going to come back. I hope it is. But for now, it's just like a big mauve. It's still got some highlighted other colors, but it definitely lost one of its characteristics, I guess. So overall, really thankful. I could have lost so much more. And I did end up losing some things, but it wasn't any of these coral that I was just telling you about. Unfortunately, I ended up losing a branching hammer and a purple wall hammer. So I believe that the entire tank was going through like a really rough patch. All the coral were being affected. Only the ones that I described to you guys were showing it to me. And unfortunately, with one of the branching hammers, I noticed some heads started to recede and to melt. And they were doing that because I did pull out that branching hammer. I was treating it for the aptasia. And unfortunately, because it was already stressed, it was already weakened by the stress, I think that just pushed it over the edge. And then with the wall hammer, now here I need euphyllia experts. Leave a comment below. But what happened with the wall hammer is, I think part of it was being shaded by the other euphyllia. So I'm guilty of putting everything too close together. And I think part of it was not receiving light. So let me know if you guys know the answer to this, but could the shaded area slowly recede and then proceed to melt away? I'm asking you because that's what it looks like happened to the wall hammer. So please let me know your thoughts. Did I put everything too close together and maybe I'm going to need to separate them? Furthermore, so far my other casualty, it's not really casualty yet, but it's definitely showing signs of stress, is the pink chalice with the yellow highlights. That's a Reefer piece. I love that. I really love that piece. It's been staying in this corner ever since I got it, and it's been doing well and it's been growing. And within the last week, I've noticed that I have white faded areas on it, which makes me think that it may be on its way out. Now, I'm not sure what to do. I may move it to a different spot to see if it recovers. But if you guys have any tips, feel free, please leave it in the comments below. I do read all the comments and try to respond to them. By the way, this is probably a really great time to let you guys know that I do have an Instagram account. It's called The Reefer YT, all squished together in one word. And I'm posting a lot of updates on the Instagram. So if you guys are on there, please consider checking me out, following me there, because I do have a lot of updates, especially on the new tank build. Anyways, back to the story. So all that is what has happened since my last update in terms of really messing the tank up and thankfully not losing very much. If you also recall from my last update, I'm still battling aptasia. I finally gave in, and about 2.5 weeks ago, I ordered 15 more berghia nudibranchs. And I had a different approach with these guys. I did keep them in a container for a week. So this container was floating in my tank as another local reefer had joined in on the order. I'll have a more in-depth video on my experience with the berghias, but in that container they definitely ate the aptasia I put in there, and they also did lay some egg squirrels. So what I'd do is they would put the egg squirrels onto various plugs that I had put in the container for them to clean up, and then I would put those plugs back into the tank and I'd monitor them to make sure nothing was eating them. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I am going to have some babies, because if it doesn't work this time, I am going to look for a different option. Berghia nudies, they're great. My concern is that, do I have a predator that is actually eating them? Now, before I got them, I did the research, and based on the livestock that I know is in my tank, to me, they should be fine. They should be good to go. I don't have any fish that would eat them. No crustaceans, as far as I know. However, I do have blue-legged hermit crabs. So my concern is, are some of these hermit crabs going rogue and eating them because they can't find other sources of food? I don't know. But again, let me know what you think in the comments below. My understanding, based on my reading, berghias are going to take between 10 and 12 weeks, or potentially more, to fully eradicate the aptasia. Now, my only problem with that is that I think that's for like really bad infestations, and I don't believe mine is that bad. That being said, who knows what's in the rock? Like, maybe I've got 1 million aptasia in the rock. I don't know. We'll have to see. And then I will relay to you guys my nudibranch experience and whether I would recommend them. And that's pretty much it, guys. So the only thing that in the future I want to change with this tank is I think I would have much better luck with the HOB refugium, just because I have experience with macroalgae. The use of macroalgae is a great way to remove excess nutrients and to remove nutrients in general. So because I have experience in the 93 gallon, I think it works very well. That's the same type of filtration I would like to use in this tank moving forward. And the only thing stopping me is that I'm lazy. Don't really want to spend the money on that right now when I'm trying to get the new tank up and running. Although at this point, I don't know when the new tank's actually coming. I do have an order in. I placed my deposit, fortunately or unfortunately, so I'm locked in. And because of COVID-19, the aquarium manufacturer has actually shut down. They've been shut down for 2 weeks. Let's get on to one of my favorite parts, the overhead shot. So as you can see this is the back left of the tank. And you can see at the top, there's a nice big aptasia there. There's also in the middle right, my Hollywood Stunner chalice colony. Yeah, that one also showed a bit of stress. You can see that parts of it had kind of died off a little bit, and it's coming back. And right now we're looking at my shroom box. So if you look at the top, that super red one, that's just a red discosoma. And yeah, this is not enhanced in any way. It is really that bright. I've got like 5 or 6 babies in there, but definitely one of the nicest discosoma I've ever seen. Of course, I don't own any jawbreakers because I'm poor, but to the left of that is kind of like a rose gold discosoma as well. Both really nice, really easy. If you're gonna get mushrooms, definitely splurge, get some nice ones. Don't get stupid blue ones like I did. In fact, I'm still dealing with stupid blue mushrooms in this tank and in my other tank. So don't do it. So bottom left, there's my Space Invader Pectinia. It's looking amazing. It's really growing. Yeah, nothing really stops it. I don't think anything that has happened in the tank in the last month has really faced it. It just grows and looks awesome. This is my chalice area. So favorite chalice, top left, pink boobies chalice. Really nice pink, kind of green, yellow mouths. Yeah, you can't beat it. Bottom left it's a pink chalice as well. Not a pink boobies, but yeah, pink chalice from Candy Corals. And then we have middle top is the mummy eyes, which is also showing a bit of stress, which is very concerning, but that is my main mother colony. And then the blue one is a alien eye chalice. So the blue one is an alien eye chalice. It's also commonly referred to in the industry as a watermelon. When it's really happy, you get those pink highlights on this blue background. So really nice piece. This huge red thing is my blastocolony. So it's on a 4-inch disc. I think it's a bit receded right now, but when it's happy, fluffy and all that, it really covers most of that disc. So really nice piece. You can see from this shot here, the Symphillia, yeah, the middle has gone from like a green to almost like a brown. This is one of my first LPS pieces. It's grown a lot. It's probably doubled in size. And to see it in this state really hurts. But oh, you can see how many mouths it has. When it first started with me, it had like 9 mouths. So here we have the bowers. And you can see the 2 bankies on the left. Thankfully, they didn't lose their color. So they're still kind of like rainbowy. And the poor big guy in the middle, he's lost so much of his highlights. He's just become a mauve. Here are the euphyllia. So these 3 are from Candy Corals. Really nice. They're all wall pieces. And then with these branching pieces, after what happened with the purple guy, I've kind of shifted them around, tried to give them a bit more room. These are my frag racks. I meant for them to be temporary because they're covering some beautiful bowerbankis. But unfortunately, what has happened is with COVID-19, I've basically not attempted to sell any more coral, just to be socially responsible, of course. On the plus side, that means that all these pieces get to grow. Unfortunately, in the middle bottom, the 2 Berserko Cyphastria, they got stung, I'm pretty sure, by the Hollywood Stunner chalice frag that I had up here. So I threw that away, but I haven't thrown these away because they do have egg sacs on them. So on the plus side, you can see like all these acan frags, they're all just growing, coloring back up. So here's a coral I really want to spotlight. I believe they're from Australia. These are Symphillia wilsoni. And so in the bottom right is an orange one. and its mouths are red. And you can see those gray streaks. Those gray streaks are actually blue. So some of the white balance correction has kind of altered that. And then here's another Wilsonii that I have. So I have 3 in total. And in the top right is another Ultra one. And right in the middle is a really pleasant surprise, really beautiful piece that was actually the cheapest piece. And lately, the more he's grown, the more he's colored up, like the more beautiful he is. Definitely comparable to the other 2. And you can see in the top, there's my chalice. There's some white parts. The white parts are definitely getting bigger. I thought maybe it was from lack of feeding, so I've been trying to feed him more, putting more amino acids on him, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens here. And yeah, here are the rest of my euphyllia. This is just a pink frog spawn branching. So all of these guys, everything in this picture is branching. And that's it, guys. So yeah, there's some things below. I'm sorry it's kind of hard to show you guys from this angle, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. So thumbs up if you liked it, subs if you loved it. To all the nurses, anyone in healthcare, anyone in like grocery stuff that's working, thank you for working. So thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.